This is the one we've all been waiting for, folks. Michigan headed to Michigan State, matchup of two top 8 teams. The state championship will be decided Saturday, high noon kickoff in East Lansing. Michigan's a 4.5-point favorite. Over under this one is 51. I'm surprised that Michigan's a 4.5-point favorite. I actually assumed, just kind of projecting forward, I'm like, Michigan State will probably be favored by a half point, 1 point potentially. But nevertheless, this means that they think Michigan's about a 7-8 point favorite over Michigan State in a neutral matchup. So Jim Harbaugh's won both of his matchups at Spartan Stadium, both his games there as a coach and also one as a player. So we'll see what happens. That is the betting matchup. You guys can get going with our sports book partner. Win some money. Get an awesome deposit bonus with BetUS using promo code GoBlue. Now, you got to go to that URL at the bottom of the screen, chatsports.com/GoBlue. Use promo code GoBlue when you make your deposit. You're going to put some money on the Wolverines, maybe the 4.5-point spread, maybe a little over-under action, whatever it is. But because this game is so impactful, so monumental, so huge in both fan bases, we're bringing back the jersey deal. So get going with BetUS this week. You've got to get going with BetUS this week, chatsports.com/GoBlue. You've got to use that URL so they can kind of track where you came from. Then email us at jersey@chatsports.com. We'll get some information from you once you make your first bet. Now, you don't have to make a bet on this game necessarily, but you've got to make a bet by the end of October. So you deposit at least $100, get a 125% deposit bonus. Email us, jersey@chatsports.com, when you've made your first bet. We will get your size, your account information, and your address, and ship a Jordan brand Michigan football jersey off to you. So once you get going with BetUS, email us. We're filling the jerseys. Email jersey@chatsports.com to redeem your Michigan football jersey. What a deal. Now, we've got a new segment. We're bringing it back, right? I really wanted to do it last year, but after the season kind of turned into a debacle after that opening win against Minnesota, it really didn't make any sense because everybody was stocked down. But with a lot of things going on with this team, a lot good, a little bit bad, we're going to bring back stock up and stock down. I'm focused on 3 areas or players or coaches of this team that are on their way up, and 3, honestly, that are on their way down. My number 1 stock up for this program right now is one J.J. McCarthy, the true freshman 5-star recruit quarterback who has gotten in, I think, every game but one. I'll double-check that. I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that. And every time he comes in, folks, I think each game he's made at least one play that everyone's like, wow, I wish we just had that from our quarterback every single play. It would be so amazing. And this past Saturday was no different in that aspect. Now, this past game, I think maybe his best plays came through the ground. He had that one 23-yard run where he literally juked maybe 4 or 5 guys out of their jock, broke a couple of tackles, got 23 yards. Another one, 13 yards. And it's clear that he has the athleticism that Michigan has never had from a true pocket passing quarterback. Now, Devin Gardner, Denard Robinson, etc., were potentially more athletic than JJ is, but they had nowhere near the arm talent and the arm strength accuracy that McCarthy has shown so far this year. So with that arm strength that we've seen on multiple times this year, 2 touchdown passes to Dalen Baldwin were absolutely beautiful. You add in a true dual threat quarterback that can run, can shake and bake guys, and it seems to be durable enough where he's not going to take a hit like a Tate Forcier and just go right out to the bench because he's all banged up. I think Michigan may have a quarterback controversy on their hands down the stretch this season because it's so obvious and clear what the talent McCarthy brings to the fold. So I want to ask you guys, Cade McNamara is going to start this weekend, right, against Michigan State. J.J. McCarthy will probably get in the game, but he's not going to be the starter. After this game, no matter what the outcome is, who should be the starter after the Michigan State game? Type Cade for Cade McNamara down in the comments. Type J.J. for J.J. McCarthy. I'm going to pin this comment below the video. Now, you might get hit with a YouTube ad break here. If you do, scroll down, give me an answer, scroll back up, ad should be over. All right. I think it's the first game this past Saturday that it's almost unanimous across anyone who's watched this program, watched this team, all the games this year, all the games last year, even when Cade McNamara was in and out, replacing Joe Milton and getting injured, etc., that J.J. McCarthy has it. He's got something that Michigan football fans really haven't seen since, wow, Chad Henne, holy cow, that guy is a cannon. That's, Henne was the last quarterback in Michigan 14 seasons ago. Some will say Ryan Mallett, but he didn't get really enough to do enough in a Michigan uniform to really think about that. It kind of reminds me of a Drew Henson, right? Way back in the day, 1998, 99, 2000. Only started 8 games in Michigan, as crazy as that sounds. But JJ reminds me a lot of Drew Henson. He's got it. And there's no way Cade McNamara is going to beat Ohio State, right? I mean, I don't want to bum anyone out. He doesn't have the arm talent. He hasn't been able to hit the ball downfield. And we're going to talk about the red zone offense and some of the, I guess, inefficiencies that Michigan has had so far through the passing game and other things here in a moment. But J.J. McCarthy is my first stock up for this team. 7-0, number 6 in the country, coming into the Michigan State game. Next stock up is Mike Macdonald. What a season so far for this first-time defensive play caller, this first-time defensive coordinator, Mike Macdonald, from the Baltimore Ravens, handpicked by John Harbaugh to recommend to his brother to get a promotion, to get that coordinator role. And I would bet Macdonald probably in the next 3 or 4 years, if he doesn't take a head coaching job, he'll be back in the NFL being defensive coordinator of the Ravens before too long. I think it's almost like sending him down to the minor leagues, college football for a couple of years with your brother, bring him back up when their current defensive coordinator decides to retire. So Mike Macdonald, we're going to talk about the great stats that this defense is pulling in. But I want to ask you guys to subscribe to the channel. We are the most watched and most, I guess, published. We're putting out more videos than any other Michigan football YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Michigan TV. We hit the 15,500 subscriber mark. Really strong growth this last 6-8 weeks. Really want to get to 16,000 as fast as we can. Don't relinquish the crown. We're about 125 subscribers behind Michigan Podcast, so make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. Share the defensive stats for this program right now. Through 7 games, this is the number 2 scoring defense in the country, folks. That is an awesome stat to see. 299 yards per game. That's number 11 in the country. Giving up 182.4 yards per game passing and 116.6 rushing. Good for number 20 and number 24 in the country. But the scoring is really where it's been impressive. Only second to Georgia, who is frankly putting up a mind-boggling 6.5 points per game on defense. That's crazy to think about. But Michigan's given up about 28 or so points, 24, 28 points of straight scrub time scoring this year. So if Michigan didn't put in the third stringers against Washington or Northern Illinois or even, frankly, I guess Rutgers here and there, then I believe that Michigan will probably be down the 9-10 points a game, which would be among the best in program history. So Mike Macdonald has been doing phenomenal. I'm super excited to see what he can do these next 3 or 4 games, but I want to ask you guys to give me a grade for Mike Macdonald this season, A, B, C, D, or F. If you want to be an amateur, you'll just type A, B, C, etc. If you want to be a pro, you got to give me a plus or a minus and make a case. Defend your thesis here. What do you have? I'm going with an A for him. It's all we'll see what happens this week against an explosive Michigan State team, and then in about 4 weeks or so from now against Ohio State. If he can shut down Ohio State, hell, if he can keep them below 40 points, which Michigan's really struggled to do in the last 2 decades, I think he has a chance to be an A-plus offensive defensive coordinator for this program. How about DJ Turner, a guy I think a lot of us forgot about, 3rd year in the program, out of IMG Academy. He was a 3-star cornerback, but he hadn't been talked about really at all. He's always been a backup guy or a special teams guy. Got the start. And I'm trying to put a show together while the game's going on, and so some of you guys might say, James, you said you didn't even see Vincent Gray out there. All right, Vincent Gray, Jimon Green kind of split the other cornerback role, 30 or so snaps, but DJ Turner got like the second most snaps in the entire secondary, only behind Daxton Hill on Saturday, and he is emerging at a perfect time. That interception was a thing of beauty, like 4 different tips between him and the wide receiver. Had a great game, a tackle for loss, 3 tackles on the day. I was excited to see him. And with what Ohio State's been doing on offense the last 4 games, folks, Michigan needs every single bit of quality play they can get from the defensive backfield. And if DJ Turner can step up and be a starter, you can move Gray or Jimon Green back to a backup role. I think Michigan potentially might have the manpower to at least limit Ohio State. Don't let them score 70 points or so like they've been about to do against every team they played over the last month. They kind of take the dogs off in the second half, but they've been scoring 45, 48 points in the first half every single game. How about stock down for this program? The wide receivers are big-time stock down, folks. I don't even know if you can even consider Michigan to have a receiving crew at this point because they're not catching passes, that's for sure, in any great numbers. And Michigan is completely ignoring these wide receivers when it comes to the red zone, when Michigan gets inside of the 20. So I'll talk about more about the wide receivers and some really interesting numbers here in a second, but want to remind you, get going with BetUS, our sportsbook partner, chatsports.com/GoBlue. You must type that into your browser. Let it redirect you to the BetUS sign-up page. Get a 125% deposit bonus with promo code GoBlue. And if you make your first bet $5 or more before the end of the month, we will send you a Michigan football Jordan brand jersey. But you've got to email us, jersey@chatsports.com, to redeem. Don't be a schmuck and go, put $20 on some BetMGM or, Barstool, one of these other apps. Get going with BetUS. Get the best deposit bonus in the game and get a Michigan football jersey from us, jersey@chatsports.com. Get going, use the link, and you've got to email us. Make a bet before the end of the month. Let's take a look at Michigan's receiving leaders in conference play. 4 games of Big Ten conference play so far, and who's leading this program in catches right now over the last 4 games? It's not a wide receiver. It's Eric All. It's Blake Corum. Now, they're not putting up the yards that Roman Wilson in only 3 games or Cornelius Johnson has, and neither one of them have got in the end zone. But in conference play, in 4 games so far, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Northwestern, Rutgers. All right, folks, Eric All, Blake Corum are your 2 leading pass catchers. That's crazy to think about. I understand Ronnie Bell is out, right? We saw Roman Wilson get in the game. I think he had 5 snaps against Northwestern and had that big game a few weeks back against Wisconsin, was it? I believe it was Wisconsin. He had that big one. But they're just not throwing the ball to the wide receivers, okay? Behind Cornelius Johnson with 11 catches, Roman Wilson with 9. Dalen Baldwin has 8 catches and 127 yards in those 4 games. So these wide receivers are getting about 2 catches each. Mike Sainer still has had a game or 2 in there. A.J. Henning might have 1 catch or so. But Michigan's really struggling with the wide receivers. They can't hit anything downfield. And I just got to ask this question. I know some of you might say, James, you're too much of a hater right now. But who coaches the wide receivers at Michigan, right? Do you know? It's Josh Gattis. And he came in 2019 with NFL-level wide receivers. Donovan Peoples-Jones turned into a hell of an NFL player for where they got him in, the 5th, 6th round. Nico Collins is an NFL player. Tariq Black didn't turn out to be the NFL player. Ronnie Bell was on that team. And then they just didn't have anything in 2020. So I think Josh Gattis has woefully underdeveloped that wide receiving core, and that is why he is our number 2 on stock down for this program after 7 weeks. Now, Jim Harbaugh said in his press conference that every game here is a playoff game going forward, which is obvious to say. It's kind of coach speak for saying, hey, we don't want to lose a game because we might not make the college football playoff. If we do, of course, Michigan still holds out hope that if they do lose a game, whether it's to Ohio State or another, and they don't make it to the Big Ten title game, they stay high enough for the rankings that maybe they could sneak in to the college football playoff even without a conference title. But the stats that we're going to show you here are mind-boggling in some regard. Let's take a look at the offensive stats for this team. The number 104 passing offense in America. Yeah, that's not a typo. 104 passing offense in America, 189 yards per game. Now, number 5 rushing offense. Okay, that's good. They have had 4 games this year out of 7 where they've had a really good rushing offense. That's the first 3 of the season, and then this past week against Northwestern. You could say they had a decent success here and there against Nebraska as well. But those are some interesting stats because it's proven that Michigan just cannot throw the ball with Josh Gattis running this offense. His receivers don't get open. They don't make plays on the ball, all right? Michigan's maybe 2 or 3 plays all season where the receiver actually had to do something to make the catch. The ball just didn't go right into his breadbasket or over the shoulder or right into his hand. So I want to take a poll of you guys, what you guys think is going on with this passing offense. Some people say, hey, it's not Gattis' fault. Cade's making the plays. The wide receivers, it's Harbaugh's offense. Who is to blame for these woeful passing stats? And it's not just the passing stats overall, the entire game, the yardage, etc. It's the red zone passing stats we'll talk about here in a moment. So type JG if it's Josh Gattis, type CM if it's Cade McNamara, type JH if it's Jim Harbaugh. I am going to have to say it's Josh Gattis, and the only proof I need, folks, is go look at Dylan McCaffrey's stats at Northern Colorado. All right? He's throwing more interceptions than touchdowns. He's barely completing 50% of his passes. Go look at what Joe Milton's done at Tennessee. Absolute disaster, folks. It was clearly one of the worst plays of all time 2 weeks ago as the clock ran out. Those guys were the guys that Josh Gattis thought were better than Cade McNamara last year. It's just mind-boggling to think about how bad of an offensive passing game play caller he's been. JG, CM, or JH. And 1 Cade McNamara, but I don't necessarily want to say all Cade McNamara. A 7-0 quarterback, number 6 in the country, all good, that's fine, but he's not necessarily helping Michigan win games. He's almost preventing them from losing games. So I'm going to say Cade McNamara is stock down, not overall, not making many interceptions. He's not getting sacked, things like that, not making dumb mistakes, but Cade McNamara in the red zone. We got it up there on screen. Cade McNamara in the red zone. and the numbers are baffling. If you saw my halftime report I put on Twitter, just kind of like a selfie video, I was about to lose my mind with some of the play calling in the red zone, and then I looked at the stats today, and holy cow, are they embarrassing. Michigan has been in the red zone 33 times this year. They have 2 passing touchdowns. Let me repeat myself, 33 appearances, 2 passing touchdowns, to 18 rushing touchdowns, 10 field goals, clearly 2 missed field goals, I think that is there, and then Michigan has that 1 fumble. I'm not sure if they've had any other times they've been in the red zone that they didn't get it done this year. There might have been one another game, I can't remember, but very efficient to the red zone, right? What would we say? It was tied for 23rd best percentage of scoring in the country. So right up there with the best offense in the country once you get in the red zone, but it's only happening on the ground. It's only happening through field goals. They cannot pass the ball in the red zones, and when they do, it's jump balls for 5'9" Mike Sainristil. It makes no sense. They've developed no passing game at all, and this offensive passing efficiency is embarrassing. The 3rd fewest red zone passing touchdowns in America, and you're like, well, who's the 1 and 2 behind them? Well, it's Georgia Southern has, I think, 1 passing touchdown in the red zone, and Army, who passes the ball about 1 time a game. I don't think they have any passing touchdowns from, if I recall, looking at those stats earlier in the game. So that's my stock up. That's my stock down. Michigan and Michigan State on Saturday. Get going with BetUS. Chatsports.com/GoBlue. Type that into your browser. Get going. Promo code GoBlue. 125% deposit bonus. And then hit us up for that free Michigan football Jordan brand jersey.